Good morning, dear Stitchers. It's Judy with JBW Designs, and I want to welcome you back to my Flosstube channel. This is number 57. And as always, I want to thank you for your lovely comments, and especially for something that occurred in the last video. I mentioned at the end of the video that my neighbor, Sue, who works for me, her husband had been in an accident the night before. And I told you how concerned I was, and it turned out to be very serious. He had a ruptured abdominal aneurysm and had to have surgery that night and then another surgery. He actually just got out of the hospital yesterday and is in a long-term care facility. And you all were so amazing. You mentioned that you were saying prayers for Tim. Someone wanted to send Sue a card. She was so touched by your comments, and she really felt that all the people who were behind her were helping both of them. So this is just such a special community, and we see that over and over again. Something happens and everybody just wants to jump in and give advice. In fact, one of the things that I asked you is, how can I help her? And you gave the most wonderful suggestions. So the next day I put together a care package for her, including stitching, because she's an avid cross-stitcher, and she said that was what kept her going while she was in the hospital with him all that time. So thank you. Thank you for your concern, and Sue thanks you too. So let's see, where do I start today? Well, the first topic, I have two main topics today. One is there are so many people who post these wonderful finishes of my designs on my Friends of JBW Designs Facebook page. And so in my usual high-tech way, I printed off some of the pictures for you to see, and then I'm going to show you the source for the design that they finished. But they did things that were so special and unique, and that is what I hope to do today. I'm not only going to show you these finishes, but then I'm going to go back and show you the new ornament book that just came back from the printer this week. It's all ready to start shipping, and I'm going to review how to finish ornaments and other flat pieces. And that was probably the main comment that I got from my last video, is that you needed a review of how to do it. Now, I have tackled this topic in several other videos, but I think if you're new to my channel, it's too hard to go back and search for things. So we're just going to go over, I'm going to pick up some of the ornaments that are in the new book, and then I'm going to go step by step how I finish them. And so those are the two main topics today, hopefully inspirational for you. So let's start out with some of the pictures that have been on the website. And I pulled out, as I said, the books. So there are two examples of stitching in the round. And this is from Trisha. And I loved the fact that she mounted it on like a cutting board. I've seen them actually at Hobby Lobby. I started to turn this over. Of course, I can't show you the back of it. It's white, so excuse that little mistake. So anyhow, it was mounted on a round, like a cutting board, and she used rickrack as a trim. What really struck me about this one is that she found a small little wooden disc, took one of the motifs from the design, and added that to the top. I love her colors. The original was worked in 2 shades of pink, and she chose some lovely aqua tones. So I thought, oh, you'll have to see that idea. And of course, let me pick this up here. This is a new design that just came out in Nashville, and this is what my stitching in the round looked like. And then another viewer named Hope finished hers in another wonderful way. So I'm going to give you a quick glimpse of that. Now this was mounted on a scalloped piece that she found at Hobby Lobby. And actually I did go back and search for it. I have it here. I'll show it to you in a minute. And I'll put the product number in my notes below. but I loved the way that turned out. The other thing I loved about her piece that was unique, and I might use her idea, is that this is not trim. She actually mounted the design on a separate disc, and it is covered, you're probably getting dizzy from watching me go back and forth, it is covered on a pink and white fabric that she used behind the design. And I just love how that turned out. So isn't it wonderful that we're seeing all these such beautiful finishes? So this is another finish that was done by Faye, and she said this is her latest JBW project, and she had several wonderful ideas with this. She took the French Country Bunny, which is actually quite an old design but still available. She finished it as a pillow. She added a charm and several ribbons up at the top, and then if you study her fabric, you can see that it is actually little rabbits in the background. So I loved her colors. I loved her color choices for the ribbons and the trims. I thought that was very well done. So this is what that booklet looks like. And I originally thought of this as a children's birth sampler, so you could put a name and a date, but you can, do whatever you want. It could be for a child's room, etc. So the next design that I want to show you, oops, let me backtrack. I'm rolling along and then I think, whoops, I forgot to show you this. So this actually took me a while to find. This is the wooden disc that she used for, let me backtrack here, this particular design. And I thought that took some real creativity to look at this and say, I can mount something on this. It's similar. It's not exact as I study the two, but I think it would work. So this is from the wall, it says wall decor. I'll put the number below. It is actually, there's a department in Hobby Lobby that has children's like decorative elements, signs and pillows, etc. And that is where I found this particular piece. So just an idea for you if you're looking for inspiration. So the next design that I wanted to share with you is called Scandinavian Christmas. And I have my model to show you. I found that downstairs. But this is what Anna did. And she had her finisher mounted on a dowel and hang it as obviously a wall hanging. And I hadn't seen that done before. I love how it turned out. So that was another idea for you for your finishing pieces. And then I want to show you that same design. I'll show you the book, and I'll show you the book right now. So Scandinavian, Christmas looks like this. Was done in originally kind of a deep, almost a maroon red color. But you know how much I love blue, so I also stitched a model in blue. And there are antique buttons that are added to this design. So I think this would be darling, just like Anna did it, as a wall hanging and the dowel. So let's set that aside. And this. And then the next design I wanted to show you that was on the site was done by Suzanne. And this is O'er the Fields We Go. That came out, I think about last August or September. And this I actually stitched in many colorways. I stitched it, I'm trying to think, in blue on white or white on blue. I might have stitched it red on white. There were quite a few models of this design. But once again, she found that white kind of, I love the scallops on the edges of the frame. She found that at Hobby Lobby. And this was a fairly recent, in April. So she sent this to me in April. So you just have to kind of wander around and see what they have and what might fit. And the booklet for O'er the Fields We Go looks like this. So my finisher did it as a pillow. Here's the red on white. And I think I can show you kind of part of it. Here is the blue on white design. Now Anna stitched hers on a 28 count linen, I believe. Yes, Christmas red Jobelin linen over 1. So that was the design that fit into that frame. So then another one that came in, and you will have, if you're interested, you'll have to go to my Friends of JBW Designs Facebook site. And if you're not a member, just ask to join. I let everybody in. This is something that you have to see in person. I'm going to describe it to you, but it's actually a video. And it's a video of this project that Joe Perry did. And this doesn't do it justice at all. So I'm just going to show you. It's going to be very hard to see. In fact, it's quite blurry, I think. She took the 12 Days of Christmas designs and made a scrapbook out of it. And in the video, she shows the pages turning, and each page has special papers on it. It is one of the most exquisite finishes I've ever seen. I just thought it was amazing, and I'm not doing it justice with this picture, but I thought you'd probably want to know about it in case you want to go and check it out. So the designs that Joe did in her scrapbook, she used the 12 Days of Christmas designs, which I've shown you before, but it's always good to show you again, which are in 4 separate booklets, and each booklet obviously has 3 designs in it. I only have 2 more, so it's just so much fun. People have done the most amazing finishes, and sometimes I like their finishes better than mine. So this is a case of that being true. So this was from Becky, and she took my antique Rooster Sampler and she finished it as a pillow. As I remember, this might have been stitched over one, I'm not positive, but look at the darling ribbon she used at the top of it. And she's hung it from some little cupboard doors. I just love the way that turned out. And this too, antique Rooster alphabet, let's see, it's not that old. You know, I've been designing for a long time. It was from 2015, so yeah, 8 years old. So this is the antique Rooster Sampler. Let's see if I can find you. I don't know, it doesn't really, I guess her design shows you, her model shows you the whole piece better than the cover of the book does. But this is the cover of the book. It was a fun one to design because all those roosters are taken from antique samplers. This was done on a 32 count fabric in flax, Zweigart Belfast. And on 32, it's almost 15 inches wide and about 5.5 inches tall. I've also seen this finished on a cupboard door. It was another fabulous finish. I didn't find that picture for you. Okay, the last one for today is Kathy, who's a frequent contributor here, took my Summer in the Round design, and she said she got the shells from a vacation last year that she took to the Outer Banks. And I love when we can use something that's important in our life, whether it's antique or shells. And she surrounded the design, put it in a frame, and surrounded it with shells. And there's a wonderful little, it almost looks like a little tiny orca or shark down there that is a shell, but it has that shape to it. So that was such a neat finish. And Summer in the Round, the booklet, looks like this. So just like all my round designs, it has all the motifs that you think of that go with summer. So that was quite a collection, wasn't it? But I was hoping to inspire you today. So the next topic that we're going to move on to is the ornament finishing, a mini lesson, right? So maybe if you've seen this before, you might pick up some new tips. At the end, I'm going to show you sources for trims, and I will also list those below. So, drum roll, this is, please, the Christmas Ornaments 5 booklet. There are 20 ornaments in here. Some of them came from older designs that I did. Some of them are new. Some of them are adaptations. And I showed you all of the, or a lot of the models last week. And so let's see. So it starts out with an index, and all of the designs then, I'm going to kind of, let's see if I can go like that. There you go. You can see that each design has its own page with its own chart with a color code, and then I give finishing instructions in the back, and then I have another picture of the tree. It's a little crowded with all 20 ornaments on it. So I have not started sending these out to shops yet. I have quite a few shops who are on my automatic program, which I think I've described before. It means that whatever I design, they automatically buy the booklets. So I plan to start shipping those out on Monday, and my shop that I'm going to feature today, later in my broadcast here, is on my automatic program. So if you don't have a shop that's close to you, you can always call a shop in your region, or I can recommend one, and they can mail it to you. So mail orders I know are always appreciated. So let's go into finishing steps. And I always like to start this out with kind of a disclaimer. I am not a professional finisher. Sometimes I finish my own ornaments when I'm in a crunch and I don't have time to send them to I have at least 3 people that I use for my finishing, and they all do exquisite work, much better than mine. But you know what? Sometimes I know you as stitchers, if you have done a lot of ornaments, it's expensive to send them to a professional. So what I'm hoping to do today is encourage you to say, I can do this. If I can do it, you can do it too. And we get better as we go along, and I'll try to give you hints as I go along about what I've learned in my finishing journey here. So the first thing is always kind of a funny, it's what do I start with as the base of the ornament. So let me just pick up, I'll pick up this one. So I'm going to show you some pieces that I've started, and I've forgotten why I didn't finish them, but I've kind of saved them because they're good samples. So this is from the 12 Days of Christmas booklet, and you're going to see that that's mounted on just a piece of cardboard. Now, a lot of people use mat board for their mounting, and I find it challenging, especially with some of my designs that have a shape to them, because the mat board has to be cut with a knife, and that can be a little challenging. So what I like to use, and this was recommended by a professional finisher, and I've shown you this before, it's a board that's better than like poster board. It's called comic board, and you can see it has some nice weight to it, but the beauty of comic board is that it can be cut with scissors. So I can cut out any shape I want, and I'll tell you how I find the shape to make my template using this comic board. Now, comic board is actually sold online on Amazon. It comes in packages of 50. If you have a couple friends, you could share it with them. We have a comic book store, here in Kalamazoo, and I can just go and buy it there. I go through a lot of it. I actually use it for other projects. So it's just great. So now, what do you do if you don't have, let's pull up a couple of designs here. So of course the easiest shape to do would be a square. And you just need to take a measurement of your finished design and add at least 1/4 inch around that, and then you want to add a margin beyond that, at least 1/2 inch, because you're going to be folding that fabric over your template. So let's pull up another one, and I'm going to give you some hints here. So this is obviously one that I started for one of my round designs. And what I used to make the round designs, this is kind of a funny story. I used to run around the house and look for plates or dishes or something that had just the size, never thinking to myself, wait a second, all you have to do is, let's pull out a round design, is measure the circumference of the circle that you want, And then I just use a little protractor. I usually on my card, I'll make marks, for the center. Say I want to cut a 3-inch, so I'll make a mark here for the side and the top, and then I find the center of that, and then I just use my protractor to trace, just like we did in elementary school, to trace a circle. It works beautifully. What if you want to do a design, and where did I put that? Is the question. Here they are, right here, right close by. So this is one of the key questions that people ask about. What if the design is not a square and it's not a circle? That isn't hard, actually. So let me pull a couple of designs off of my table here that are another shape. Well, here are a couple. So I had a model that I haven't done anything with yet. It's the shape of a tree. And I used to, and you could do this if you don't have a printer, I used to take this and take it up to the window. I tape this to the window, and it works, it's fine, and put a piece of tracing paper over this and trace the shape that I wanted for this design. But I have since come up with another method that works like a charm. So I actually take the model itself and I lay it on my printer and I make a copy of it. So here's a copy of this design. And then I just did a little tracing. I thought, well, I think this would look nice. And I just used a ruler to make the sides straight like that, but to make the bottom of this ornament a curved shape. And so then I would use this as my template to cut out my comic board. So I would actually cut this out with scissors, and then I'd be able to trace this design onto my board. And you're going to need at least 2 boards, because you need one for your stitch design, and then you need one, let me pull this one, to cover with your backing fabric. So, and there might be times when actually you need 3. It depends on how you're doing your finishing. So all I did was make a copy on the printer. It makes a perfect template, and then you can use this to do any shape you want. So you could do the same thing with the little stocking shape. Lay your design on the printer, print out a copy, and then make a tracing with your pencil, and then we'll go to the next step in a few minutes here. So then I did another one for you. This one was harder to see. Let's see if I put this behind it. That'll work. So this is a heart shape. And sometimes heart shapes can be challenging. I do have a heart shape actually in the new booklet. And you can see this was professionally finished. And she had, I would say, a fairly straight edges here, just a little curve and a little dip at the top of that heart shape. So how are you going to make a template for your design if it's this shape? Once again, I took this over to the printer. I made a copy. Let's see here if I can get that up for you. This one is harder to see because the red came out as a very dark gray when you printed it. And then I just used my pencil and traced a heart shape around this. Now, one thing that I would do before I made this template is I would probably see you can see the shape on the back. I would probably make sure that both sides of my heart have the same curve to them. So on this one, I just did it with freehand, but I would probably go back. I might try it a couple times to get, just cut it out of paper and get the right shape so that you can make your template to make your ornament. So that is how I get the templates, which is one of the questions for the different shapes that I'm going to show you today. So the same is true with this little tree. You could lay it down, make a copy, draw a shape that you found pleasing, and then that becomes your template to make your design. So let's move on to the next steps. So the next step after we make our template is I'm going to show you one that is in my collection here. So let me go back one step. Before you cover your cardboard shape with your fabric design, I like to pad it. And you can see on this one, I have a little bit of felt on there. There are two things. You can buy the felt in sheets and just cut the shape that you need, or you can use a batting. But I like this felt that comes from Hobby Lobby that has a sticky back to it. So on the back of it, I just trace is the word I'm looking for, the shape that I need, and then I cut that out and peel off the sticky backing and glue that to the top of my shape. And as I say, if you want it thicker, you can add several layers of felt to it. Now that's just one idea. It isn't written in stone anywhere. This is just a suggestion for you. I have another suggestion for you. Let me again grab this red ornament. When I'm mounting my red designs stitched on red, I usually like to get a piece of fabric, or I'm sorry, felt, to match so that when I mount it, it shows up better than it, on the red, it shows up better than it does on the white. And of course, felt comes in all different colors. So if you were doing a tree that had, you'd worked on a dark green fabric or some other color than white, you can always find a felt to match that. So now I have taken my shape, I have put a piece of felt on it, and the next thing I'm going to do is glue this shape to the back of my template. Now I have a couple hints on the glue, and because I've run into this several times. So the glue that I use is the non-sew fabric glue, Aleene's, that comes from Hobby Lobby or any Joann Fabrics, any of those kinds of stores. The problem that sometimes happens is that you tend sometimes to use too much glue. And don't forget, we're going to be taking this piece, and do I have a backing piece here? Oh, let me grab something here. All right, we're going to be taking this piece, but we're also going to be mounting a backing fabric, and it is going to go on the back of this. And if there's too much glue around the edges, I like to hand sew my backing fabric to my front fabric. I hope this is making sense. If there's too much glue on either your design or your backing fabric, it is very hard to hand sew those together. So I have one suggestion, and that is to be careful with your glue. It's easy to get globs everywhere. Here's another sample I can show you in a minute. The other thing that works great, and it works especially well if you have straight edges. So even on this, a triangle shape, what I like to use is a double-sided adhesive tape. And again, I bought that just at Hobby Lobby, and it works like a charm because you can put a piece of that tape alongside the edge and then fold your fabric over that double-sided tape, and then I do it for each side. I do it for this side, and then this side, and then this. The beauty of the tape, if you're able to use it, is that then the edges aren't so hard to do your hand sewing. Now you could glue your backing to the front. That works too. But I like the hand sewn because I feel like the two pieces are tighter together. So I'm going to show you in a sample of that. So this was a model that I stitched that I decided I didn't like, and I've got thread wrapped all around it here. So here's the little snowman. You can see he's glued or taped to the back. Here's the backing fabric, again taped to the cardboard. Now I'm going to put those two together, and this is what the start of this was. You can see I've started to hand stitch these two pieces together. So the method that I'm showing you is going to work with so many different things, not just ornaments. It can work with the round designs that you're finishing as a flat. This is rabbits in the round. it can work on, I pulled a couple other models out. These are French country tags. I have French Christmas tags, I'm sorry. There's a book called French Christmas Tags 1 and 2, which has little Christmas designs. They're mounted on these little wooden discs that I get from a company in France that I've talked about before. The mounting for this on these wooden boards is the exact same steps that I've shown you with the ornaments. So you're going to glue your design to your cardboard, you're going to put some batting or felt in, and then you can just glue this directly to your wooden piece. I thought I had another something to show you. Well, I can show you this one because it doesn't even have the trim on it. So it's just glued to the wooden piece. And then you can add your trim. You could put pom-pom or ribbon or whatever appeals to you. So we'll talk about trims kind of at the end of this demonstration. So where am I now? All right, we have our, let me grab something. Let's grab this one. So now we've covered our board with our stitching. We've covered our second board with our backing. We've sewn them together. And now is the fun part. You get to add the trims. And to me, this just makes the ornament look special. And I'm going to show you some hand-dyed ribbons. I'm going to show you chenille, rickrack, pom-pom trims. All of those make wonderful edgings for your ornaments. So I finished this one and I just made a twisted cord. I'm not going to do a twisted cord demonstration today because there are many out there in Flosstube land who have done them, especially Vanna Pfeiffer has done a wonderful tutorial on how to make twisted cord. But I will tell you that the tool that I use, and you probably know about this already, but maybe it's new, is one from Krynek. And I think they call it a mini cording tool, something like that. And this is a funny little tool. It actually was designed for the for the miniature industry. It was used with a little drill bit in it to for dollhouses. But someone adapted it. Not me, I saw it from somebody else, and put a hook in here. And this allows you to take any fiber, I usually use floss, and twist it with this little cording drill and make the most beautiful twisted cording. You can do a single color, you can do a candy cane color, you can make it thicker or thinner depending on how many strands of floss you use. You have to experiment with that. But that makes, I use it all the time. I love it as a trim. It was used in this design. It was also used as the hanger on the top. And so I used more floss to do the edging and less to do the hanger because I didn't want it as thick. So now let's talk about trims and what are you going to add to your ornaments. My finisher used a 2-color cording on the heart, and then I just added the ribbon to the top. And often I use, I wanted to show you, you can buy straight pins, of course, in all different colors, and this is often what I use. Here, I'll show you this one, to secure the ribbon to the bottom of the ornament. So let's see, let's talk about trims. Let me clear some things away here. And I've gathered all kinds of trims to show you. And if there are questions about ornaments that are in that booklet that you need more help on, I'm thinking of this kind of an ornament. I'll quickly tell you, you're going to mount your design first. Then you're going to use 2 more pieces of card because you need a card for the front of the ornament, but you also need a covered card for the back of the ornament. And this is just trimmed with twisted cording with a little hanger at the top and a ribbon added with a pin. But if you have questions about others, I can go back and review them in a next video. So now back to the trims. So one of my favorite trims to add is the pom-pom trim, and there are several companies that make that. This is a mini pom-pom from Dames of the Needle, And I just go online. I can usually find these products on Etsy, and I think about what colors I might want, especially if I'm doing ornaments. I'm looking for Christmas colors. Lady Dot creates, Lois also creates beautiful pom-pom trims. Now these are all hand-dyed, and they come in the most gorgeous colors. And so you can just go online and find things that you think might match. I usually buy a variety. Another thing that you're able to order from these companies is Dames of the Needle and Lady Dot both create hand-dyed rickrack. And I'll show you, let's see, one of my ornaments here. Yes, this one right here. Nope, I pulled up the wrong one. This one right here has a rickrack trim along the edges. And the thickness with the two boards together is just about right for that to glue on this edging of the little rickrack trim. And I added a rickrack holder at the top and just a little bow and a pin at the base. So let's see. Another product that you might be interested in is the chenille. And this one is from Lady Dot Creates, and that makes a beautiful trim for ornaments. I love hand-dyed ribbons, and there are a couple companies I'm going to mention, and I will list those below. I have a lot to list today. So I went into my stash to search. One of the most beautiful companies that does hand-dyed ribbons, excuse me, is Treenway Silks. And I checked today, they have a website, they have gorgeous colors. And they're not that costly to order, like a 3-yard piece of like whites, reds, greens, whatever you would want for your project or your ornament. This is another one that I found on Etsy, and it was, excuse me, I'm talking too much. It's hard not to do, right, in a video. So this is from Barbara L. Creations. I'll list her below. It was a pure silk ribbon. I've used that for several bows. Dinky Dyes makes beautiful hand-dyed ribbon. Look at that color. I should be wearing it today, right? It matches. And then another one that I found in my stash of trims is from Anastasia Marie. And I had ordered several reds and greens from her. So another thing that you can add to your little ornaments are bells and charms. Let's see, I'm trying to find samples here. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So a company called Just Another Button Company, which you've probably heard of, makes darling buttons in all shapes and sizes. So I pulled out a couple samples of those. They do stars and snowmen and hearts and wreaths and gingerbread, etc. And many shops carry the Just Another Button Company buttons. They're just wonderful, very creative. Sometimes I use just an antique button that I have in my collection, and you can add that to the top or the base. One hint that I want to give you is that when you're doing these ornaments, you have to think about the hanger and how that is going to be put in or finished in this ornament. And so one hint that I have is I usually, when I'm hand sewing, I leave a little opening up at the top, and after the two pieces are sewn together, and I leave an opening at the base too, and I'll tell you why. So the opening at the top is to put the hanger in. And so if you leave that little space, you can just slip that ribbon or trim, whatever you're using for your hanger, into that little space and either glue or sew it shut. Often the ribbon and the pin are used to cover a joining. And by that I mean, where are you finishing your trim? And I'm going to try to show you the base of this. So this particular trim, the twisted cording, was finished at the base of the ornament. And if you can picture, you're going to leave just a little opening in the base of the ornament because you want to put the two ends of this twisted cording into that little slot that is between the back and the front. And it can be a little tricky. One hint that I have for you is to start with So when you make your twisted cording, one end of the cording does not have to be tied into a knot. Actually it's the center of the cording, and so it's a nice twist. It's even. It is not bulky, so that it's good to start that end at the base of the ornament. Then you're going to come around to the other end. It's a very tiny piece, and now you've got this other end, and to insert a knot would be very tricky. So I learned from my professional finisher that she just puts a little piece of Scotch tape over the end of this knotted end. And then you can cut that knot off, so now it's not going to unravel. And now you can put this end into here, and I usually use like a little sharp scissors or something so that I can kind of poke that cording down in the center at the base here. And as I say, because it's kind of rough at the bottom, using that little bow and the pin sometimes covers a joining if you don't like how it's come together, and sometimes that happens. So where am I going? I think I'm done with my finishing. I'm sure that it went on a little long, but I hope you picked up some hints. And if something doesn't make sense, just ask questions. Oh, I have one more little thing on my table here. You can find bells and pom-pom trim, gold bells, silver bells, everything color you want at Hobby Lobby too, and those make great trims at the top. They just look darling, or at the center of the bow. So I think I've covered everything, but as I say, please, please, please ask questions if nothing makes sense, which sometimes happens. So my shop today that I want to feature is called Brick City Cross Stitch. And Jean, the owner, has been a customer for a long time, and I'm so grateful to her. I saw her at market in Nashville. She has a very faithful group of stitchers who come to her shop. She has a fabulous, I've seen pictures of her fabric collection. It is amazing. So if you're looking for anything, Jean is on my automatic. If you're looking for any of my designs or fabrics, etc., this is the person I'd call this week. So she is, I made a spelling error. It's actually East Silver Springs Boulevard. I didn't proofread this. She is in Ocala, Florida. This shows her email address, bcxstitch@aol.com, and her phone number. So take a picture of that and contact Jean if you're looking for anything. I know she'd appreciate it. So that's my special shop. I like to feature a shop every week because the shops are the key to our industry. I forgot to tell you that I did a bouquet for you today. I hope you're stitching during this. So I picked, my lilacs are gone, so this week I picked peonies. I'm not sure what the purple is. This little purple, I think I know, but if you know, please tell me. Some iris, some Wagelia to make a bouquet. I love to have flowers up here in the office. So on to the next topic. Prizes. So every week I look at all the comments that are made, and I use a random number generator. You don't have to answer a question, and I choose 3 people, and the people that are chosen can select any of the designs that I've shown today, and I will send it to you. One thing, you must be a subscriber, and I'm getting so close to 5,000. I just am so excited about that. It's kind of unbelievable, actually, even that I had 5,000 views of a video that I did 2 weeks ago. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You are the best friends, best pen pals I could have. So my winners this week that I chose randomly, and it's okay if you win more than once, incidentally, is her name is Anne Mousseau. I mispronounced that. I'm sorry, Anne. Mousseau. Sounds so pretty. Kathy Berry is my second winner, and Glee Hansen is my third winner. So the most important thing to do is to not message me, but send me an email, and it's judy@jbwdesigns.com. It's the best way to reach me. And some of my comments actually come through emails, which is fine. I always have a quotation each week, and my quotation today is, "May your day be filled with good thoughts, kind people, and happy moments." and you definitely are my happy moment of the day. You're just great. So next week, what am I doing? I am going to StitchCon. I leave on Thursday morning. It's about a 5-hour drive. I've never been before. There are so many people there who I'm looking forward to meeting. Actually, Chrissy, Finally a Farm Girl, and Stitchy Linda, who both go to Brick City all the time, are going to be sitting at my table, so I'll have to tell them that I chose Jean as the shop this week. But there are so many people. I'm so excited to. So if you're going and I don't know you, come and introduce yourself. So I'll tell you all about it in a couple weeks. So my next little bits of news are my website is jbwdesigns.com. I do have older titles on that website that are available for purchase. I'm on Instagram, and it's judy.whitman, W-H-I-T-M-A-N, and of course my friends page. So thank you again, and I know this was a little long, but I had so much to tell you. So hope to see you in 2 weeks, and we'll have a good day. Bye-bye.